Hello and welcome back to Nibble Pop. Today's class will be on stress shift or value stressing. We have earlier known what Indo-European languages are and how Germanic languages as a branch of Indo-European languages have evolved and what are the main characteristics of Germanic languages. We have also seen consonant shift as an important factor in understanding the nature of Germanic languages like English, and today's class will be a continuation of that. Before going into stress shift, we will first have a revision of our understanding of syllable. Many of you know what a syllable is, but I'm still going through it. Syllable is a unit of production. It's like a building block of words, all right? Which means that syllable is a small part of a word, and especially it has a vowel sound which you can pronounce at one go. An example will help you understand more. When you pronounce the word man, you pronounce it at one go. So this means man has one syllable. But when you pronounce words like hospital or anger or beautiful, see what you are doing here. When you are pronouncing hospital, you are pronouncing in 3 stages. Hospital, and all these 3 chunks have single vowel sounds. HOS has O, PI gives you another chunk, and TAL gives you the third chunk. So hospital has 3 syllables. In this way, you can divide up longer words into different syllables. Now, when you pronounce a word, you don't give thrust or pressure on all the syllables equally. All right. So, for example, when you are pronouncing hospital, you are pronouncing hos with more pressure and then pital on a softer note. Okay. So, we can say that in the word hospital, you are stressing hos. So, this is what stress or accent is. When you give pressure or when you vocalize one part of a word in a louder way or with a more powerful energy, that is the stress. Every word has a part where you give the stress. If it is a monosyllabic word, monosyllabic means single syllable, you give stress on the whole word. But when a word is divided up into different syllables, multiple syllables, you give stress on 1 or 2 syllables and leave the others unstressed. This is the basis of stress, which will help us understand what stress shift is about. Now, normally in Indo-European languages, there was no hard and fast rule about applying stress, which means that if a word has a particular stress style, then it didn't matter how you pronounce that word when that word is changed into a derivative. What is a derivative? Derivative is when you add something to a word, all right, and make a longer word. For example, beauty is a word and you add something to it to make it beautiful. Okay. Similarly, we add prefixes, suffixes. Prefix means something which goes before a word, suffix is something which goes after a word, to turn them into derivatives. Derivatives means something you derive or get from a single word. Alright. Now, in Indo-European languages, it was not fixed whether the stress system of the original word will continue even in the derivatives. For example, if you stressed on the first syllable of a word, it doesn't mean necessarily that when you turn it into a derivative, then that stressed syllable will remain stressed. It could change. Maybe the stress would go on the derivative part. That was the problem with the Indo-European languages, which we also find in case of the Italic branch, the Aryan branch. Okay, so the stress is kind of arbitrary. It is not ruled by any logical pattern, which you find in case of English, which is a Germanic word. Now, in case of Germanic words, original Germanic words, the stress is always on the first syllable, except where you are using a prefix. Let me explain that. Whenever there is more than one syllable in a word of English, the rule of thumb is go for the first syllable unless there is a prefix in the word. Prefix means something added in the beginning of the word. Now this brings us to the concept of root syllable. What is a root syllable? Root syllable is the primary unit of that word which gives it the meaning of the word. In a longer word, usually in words like beautiful, you get to know the meaning of that word from the part beauty or beau. So beau, this syllable happens to be the root syllable. So we are stressing on beautiful and we are pronouncing with the stress on the first syllable. Then let me give you another example. Let us think about the word unclear. So when we pronounce unclear, see, we are stressing more on the syllable clear because un is a prefix. So in this word, the real meaning is generated from that part clear. Un means no, so not clear is unclear. So when you pronounce unclear, you should stress on the syllable clear. Another example, aside. Okay, he kept that book or he kept the issue aside. Aside means at the side of, when you put something away. In that word, the more important syllable is S-I-D-E, side. So when you pronounce it, you don't pronounce it like aside. You pronounce it as aside. Okay. So here you understand that the syllable which contains the root of that word, which is side, is more important and it is more logical to stress that particular syllable. Take for example, another example is preface. Preface means something which you write before the main article or something which goes before something important. So in the word preface, the more important part is face. So we don't say preface, we say preface because pre is a common prefix which you add to many things. The main word here is face. So you accentuate the part face. So I hope it is clear to you that when there is no root word, for example, in the word hospital, it is stressed on the first syllable. Again, we have words where you don't have any specific root syllable and the words are made up of a combination of many small chunks. All right. So I'll give you one example here. Say America. Now in the word America, you don't have any particular small bit which gives you the whole meaning. It is a combination of many small units. Here the rule of thumb is stress on the first syllable, where you don't have a root syllable defining the meaning of the word. So we say America and not America, America. So it is always America. Alright. So here you will understand that we have to stress a word either by looking at the root word or the root syllable, not root word, root syllable, or if there is no distinguished root syllable, then you have to stress on the first syllable. So whenever a word is stressed on the first syllable, you don't always have a definite conclusion that this is a Germanic word, because I see in Indo-European languages, because the whole system was arbitrary, which means which had no logic, many of the words used to be stressed on the first syllable. So how to understand whether this is a Germanic word or it is a later borrowing from other branches of Indo-European? Okay, here I am going to give you the reason why stress shift should be studied. Stress shift makes us realize that Germanic languages are more logical and they depend more on the meaningfulness of a word instead of the poetic or the rhythmic preferences of other Indo-European branches. Germanic language is logical and therefore it is called masculine. I don't know why we still are going to use these masculine and feminine words to define what is logical. That is, it sounds stupid, but that is what Jespersen even says, because people usually associate men with logic and women with what? Rhythm and flow and poetry and beauty. This is the most illogical thing I've heard, but that is what philology answers or study notes will tell you, that English is a masculine language. Why? Because it is a logical language. Why? Because men are logical, women are illogical. Okay, that is their point of view. But okay, let's keep jokes apart. How does it matter? It matters for us to ascertain whether a particular word is originally Germanic or a later borrowing from other branches like the Italic branch, because we know there are so many influences on English language from Latin, from French, from Greek, that these later borrowings can be distinguished from the original Germanic language words by looking at the stress patterns. I'll give you 2 examples to make you understand what stress shift is actually here. See, in case of the word photo, we are stressing on the first syllable, right? Photo, PHO, that is the, because we have 2 syllables here, there is no logical reason to put any root syllable concept here, so we are putting stress on the first syllable. Come to the derivative photograph. Then come to the derivative photographer. When you say photographer, you are stressing on gra. Alright. This shows that the stress is shifting arbitrarily. The word photo, which happens to be the root, does not get the accent when you pronounce photographer or photography or photographic. Alright. Therefore, we can safely assume that this word is a later borrowing. Later borrowing from other branches, not Germanic branches, other branches which have a system of putting stress based on musicality, based on rhythm, instead of based on logic. Therefore, the words where the derivative words have rhythmic stress patterns instead of logical stress patterns are later borrowings. But when we come to words like love and its derivative like lover, okay, unloved, loveliness. You see, whenever we are using any derivative of love, we are still stressing on love. Even when love is not the first syllable, for example, in unloved. Okay. Therefore, we can safely assume that this word love and its derivatives, these are original Germanic ones, because the stress or the accent system is logical and consistent. So consistency in derivative and original word in terms of stress gives us an idea that Germanic languages are more logical and are based more on meaning than on the sound value of a particular syllable. Okay, therefore we can also call this system the system of value stressing. Okay, so stress shift is also about value stressing because you are stressing the part of that word which carries the most value, which gives meaning to the whole word, which defines the whole word. Okay, for example, when you say childish, then that word child has value and ish is just a suffix. Therefore, you are giving stress on the more valuable part of that word. Understanding this will help you immensely in your future study of prosody. We will be doing a lot of accent and stress work in prosody classes, and there this idea of value stressing will help you a lot, because in English language the beauty of English poetry comes from this logical and methodical process of stress. Okay, so with stress shift you have understood another characteristic of Germanic language, and the third characteristic, which is also worth mentioning, is that the Germanic languages have a regularized tense system, which means that although in your school days you used to think that there are three tenses, past, present and future, when you think about it, you'll understand that in language there are only two tenses, the past and the present. Why I'm saying this? Because you see, let's take for example the word run. What is the past tense of run? Ran. So we have two words. One is run, one is ran. Using these two words, we can define past, I ran, present, I run, and future, I will run. When I'm saying I will run, I'm not using a different word. I'm just adding will to it. So instead of using three kinds of words to define three kinds of tenses, in Germanic tongues we have two, which means it is a more reduced or simplified way of expressing tense. I'm giving an example from Bangla. আমরা বাংলায় কি বলি? আমি গিয়েছিলাম, আমি যাচ্ছি, আমি যাব। দেখো তিনটে ওয়ার্ড, গিয়েছিলাম, যাচ্ছি, যাব, রাইট? তার মানে তিনটে ওয়ার্ডে কিন্তু বোঝা যাচ্ছে যে তিনটে আলাদা টাইমে ঘটনা ঘটছে। ওকে, অতীত, বর্তমান এবং ভবিষ্যৎ, তিনটে কাল রয়েছে, ওয়ার্ড দিয়ে বোঝা যাচ্ছে। কিন্তু ইংলিশে কি হচ্ছে, আমি কিন্তু রান ওয়ার্ডটাকে ইউজ করছি, তার আগে একটা উইল লাগাচ্ছি। তাহলে এই উইল বা শ্যালের ব্যবহার, এটার ফলে কিন্তু দেখো একটা এন্টায়ার সেট অফ ওয়ার্ডসের আর দরকারই পড়লো না। ঠিক আছে, পাস্ট টেন্সের ক্ষেত্রে কিন্তু আমরা হয় ইডি যোগ করি বা কোনো কোনো ক্ষেত্রে আমরা অন্য একটা ওয়ার্ড ইউজ করি, যেরকম রানের ক্ষেত্রে র্যান, ঠিক আছে, ব্লিঙ্কের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা ইডি যোগ করি, কিন্তু আবার ড্রিঙ্কের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা ড্র্যাঙ্ক বলি। ঠিক আছে, এবার তাহলে বুঝতে পারছো যে টেন্সটা কিন্তু ছোট হয়ে যাচ্ছে ভোক্যাবুলারির দিক থেকে দেখতে গেলে, নাম্বার অফ ওয়ার্ডসের দিক থেকে দেখতে গেলে। Therefore, it is important to understand that in case of English or other Germanic languages, we have a more regularized tense system, and it is also easier. It is surprising, but it is easier to learn English than learn any other Indo-European branch of language, or any Indo-European descendant, because there you have to learn a whole new set of words which define future tense. That is why I always say that English is comparatively easier than any Indian language even, which have come from the branch of Sanskrit. Alright. Now, this brings us to the end of our discussion on the characteristics of Germanic languages. In our next class, we will go into how English further evolved from that stage of High Germanic language to what we have now through a series of loan words and through a series of influences. First influence which we will be covering in our next lecture will be Scandinavian influence, which is very important for you, and I hope after that class you will be able to understand how loan words begin to redefine the language systems. Okay, and I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. If you have done so, please subscribe to this channel so that you get notified whenever a video is put up. Till next time, bye bye.